Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakorash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders, a great millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations as always to the elect. We're going into news and prophecy, all right? In the news, linking the things that are happening in the world to the Holy Scriptures via biblical prophecy. Now, what I wanted to speak on today is this ordeal with the Ohio, all right, Palestine, Ohio, train derailment, which I believe is an act of chemical warfare on the people of Babylon. All right, it's very interesting that the name of this city in Ohio was Palestine. All right, which we know Palestine is another name for a landmass in Israel. Okay, where the Philistines, once had dominion. All right, Palestine just means Philistine, which was the name of a heathen nation that David and his mighty men eventually took down, as they had control over a region in the Promised Land. Now, this situation can be very detrimental, not only to the people, all right, but to the ecosystem, to animals, and it can be used as a means to wage chemical warfare, which again, out of chaos, they want to bring in order. And this devil has pretty much taken the people on a ride from 2020 until now, starting with the Ovid, which they use to bring forth unrighteous decrees, mandate particular things. We know the juice. We started to see lockdowns. Okay, and then, eventually, when things open back up, okay, we started to see people, just go back to the spirit world. All right, and we started to see the effects of the juice. Okay, and then they brought more distractions. They started to burn down meat factories. Okay, they started to block farming. They came with a whole nother agenda and pandemic in the form of climate. All right, the climate pandemic, which gave them the right in particular parts of the earth, to come with climate shutdowns. And it's coming here to Babylon the Great. But pretty much, if you look at what this devil has done from 2020 until now, he's taken you on a ride. And particular things that he's, prophesied in his movies, his cartoons, via his left-hand priest, they're all coming to pass. Things that they've openly told you that they're going to do. All right. And for you to look out for, it's happening. Okay. And now we're living in a time where, you have a new boogeyman. You have these unidentified objects in the sky getting shot down. Okay. You've had about 4 train derailments over the past couple of months, but only one is really being talked about, and that's this one in Ohio. So you're having all of these, train crashes, which this one was different because of the action of the company, burning the chemicals, which pretty much led to things spiraling out of control. And they're already under investigation and talking to them, and we'll get into that. All right, but all around the world, we can see that the devil is coming down with great wrath. Okay, as a matter of fact, okay, 130 Las Vegas elementary school students projectile vomiting after mysterious illness outbreak. Okay, again, they're not going to stop. Everywhere you look, you're going to start to see more and more BS. Okay, and this is just one aspect. Okay, you have the domestic terrorist thing moving. You having more shootings at malls and schools. Okay, he has not stopped, even with the Kanye Kyrie thing. He's constantly, uh, you know, practiced what is known as a psychological operation upon the people. Okay, which a lot of these things that he's putting in the news and these situations that are going to pop up are going to give him the right to pass particular laws, to come down with great wrath. Okay, to come down as a dragon. Okay, as it says in the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter. Tucson, all right? Evacuation orders issued after truck crashes leaking hazardous nitric acid. So all over the earth, everywhere you look, especially here in Babylon, okay, but all over the earth, you're seeing, okay, these particular fanners, these things happening. So these residents have been ordered to evacuate because nitric acid is in the air. So they can use these type of events, you know, to shut off areas, you know, ban traveling, and to do their dirty work. Now, this is the book of Revelation 12. And 12, I'll read it in NLT. We always read the King James. It says, "Therefore rejoice, O heavens, and you who live in the heavens, and the elect are those who are tied to the heavens via the Ruach HaKodesh, Holy Spirit." So we're supposed to be in the spirit of rejoicing. But terror will come on the earth and the sea. And the sea. Okay? So the earth and the sea are feeling the wrath of Esau, Edom. For the devil has come down unto you in great anger, knowing that he has little time. And what devil is that? That's the devil Esau, Edom. Okay? And he's operating in a very, very wicked manner. And if you can't see the man of sin is being revealed, then I don't know what else do you need to hear. Just taking you on the ride that they've taken you on from 2020 to now. Okay, the chickens dying, cattle dying, being killed off, farmers being told they can't sell, you know, their produce. The World Economic Forum talking their talk and having their plans. Elon Musk, Neuralink, the brain chip, all of these things are just out in the open. Now they got you, they're telling you people that unidentified objects are flying around in the sky. Now this train derailment. I mean, everywhere you look, you can't even keep up with the news that's coming out. Okay? Psalms 36:1, a psalm of David, the servant of the Lord. The transgression of the wicked saith within my heart, there is no fear of God before his eyes. He don't give a damn. For he flattereth himself in his own eyes. And that's what he's doing with these situations until his iniquity be found to be hateful. And we know the scriptures in 2 Thessalonians say only he who now will let until he be taken out of the way. The wicked is the Lord's sword. Okay? For the words of his mouth are iniquity and deceitful. He have left off to be wise and to do good. Salakia. He has left off to be wise and to do good. He deviseth mischief upon his bed. He setteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil. Thy mercy, O Yahweh, is in the heavens, and thy faithfulness reacheth unto the clouds. So we need the Heavenly Father, all right, to send his only begotten Son. We need divine intervention, as we can clearly see that Something is happening in the earth, and all of these particular situations are going to lead to this devil, all right, bringing something big. Something big is around the corner, and if you can't see that, all right, then maybe you're crazy. Now, what we're going to do is play this video. Warning, they are not telling you the whole story. Okay, and as you can see, this Ohio River, okay, it flows into the Mississippi River, which the Mississippi River is the Nile River of the modern day Egypt. As you can see, although the Nile River is longer, you can look here, the Mississippi River runs all the way up throughout Babylon, the same way, in the sense that the Mississippi River runs, pretty much through Babylon the same way the Nile River ran through ancient Egypt. All right, and the Nile River was attacked by the Most High. Okay, he turned it into blood. He put the fish to death in it. We'll show you that. And these same things are happening in this modern day Egypt, which we're in Egypt. As a matter of fact, before we get that video, because all of this is happening because the Lord is getting ready to deliver us up out of this place. And he's using the wicked elite to bring a lot of these plagues, yet it's still the Lord. This is the book of 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter in the 10th verse. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. We are in a spiritual Egypt. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before. See? And will destroy all the land thereof. So Egypt is being smitten with plagues. Okay? Egypt shall mourn. And these people are so proud, they're not even really paying attention to what's really happening. But something big is coming. An outage. Okay? False something that they're going to do that's going to justify them going in. And when it's all said and done, they'll be justified in issuing forth that charagma. Because things are going to be so out of hand. We got to know who's who and what's what. You have to be registered. We have terrorists. We have this. We have that. We need a way in a system. Okay. And buying and selling is going to be the catalyst of, bringing that system. But it's going to be far more tied to it. But buying and selling is how people sustain themselves. People are going to be prone to going in that way, as they're going to have all of the resources and the ability to set up systems in the earth to where this is what you use to buy and sell. And we see everything going digital. The footwork has been laid to bring in this fourth industrial revolution. Okay? And all around the world, we see things moving towards what John the Revelator saw. But back to the scripture. See, the Lord said he's going to bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, which is Yahweh Shai, and smite Egypt with plagues as before. Now, who was responsible for those plagues that hit Egypt? All right. That angel. It was the Most High God, Yahweh, but it was an angel he sent. See, and that same angel is with us unto this day. Yahweh Shai. And I will destroy all the land thereof. This place is going to be destroyed. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and the punishment that God shall bring upon it. So these things are punishments. Let's go ahead and check this out.
Okay, so this is bigger than you think. This might be the largest environmental disaster in the US history. I have a serious thread to go over with you to inform you how bad this is right now. I'm not going to waste any time because I want to make sure that we can get through this full thread. It's a lot of crazy information that you guys need to know. So if you're brand new here, welcome to our awesome community.
And the mainstream media haven't really been reporting on this. Okay, for a few weeks, you had to go to alternative media. Now the mainstream media are trying to jump on it. And what was that all about? Why wouldn't mainstream media want to cover this atrocity? All right, where this company just decided after a crash to burn the damn chemicals. And it led to people needed to be evacuating. It's leading to animals and in particular ecosystems to die. And we don't know what further, ramifications are going to come from the decision they made. Will they be held accountable? Now, we know we live in a wicked system, so we're not even, us, here who believe in this truth. At the end of the day, we know even if they put in the news they're going to trial, it doesn't matter. All they'll do is pay some millions of dollars. All right, but it will never put a dent in their profit. Now, this particular company, okay, real quick, Norfolk Southern, okay, is owned by the Vanguard Group. Okay, you can look them up, which their biggest shareholder is BlackRock. So those two names have been coming up, okay, and a lot of this BS that's going on. Okay, and pretty much in a nutshell, there's a lot of interest. This is a very strategic happening when you put all of the pieces of the puzzle together. And we know the devil is up to no good. Okay?
Where we do prepping tips, emergency after you hear this. One of our community members sent me this thread, and I didn't know that this was as big a deal as it is. And I don't think other people do either, because you are not seeing a lot of this on the news media. So let's get going through this thread, because this is going to serve as a huge warning to so many people. So this person is not someone that I normally follow, but I will now. His name's Kanakoa. I mean, this is a huge deal.
Look at that. That looks like a nuclear destruction, like a bomb going off.
I think bigger than most people really think. This thread's going to include photos, videos, and news reports about the train derailment and toxic chemical release in East Palestine, Ohio. And guys, the reports are nuts. I don't think you're seeing this anywhere else. As mentioned here, this may be the largest environmental disaster in the U.S. history, and they're not telling us this. As you can see, this thing looked like an atomic bomb that went off. He's got about 23 points, and we're going to try to go through the ones that, I think are okay to show on here. So that was number one. This is number two. You are looking at a toxic cocktail of deadly chemicals purposefully being burned off in the East Palestine after the train derailment. Burned off vinyl chloride, which contains toxic carcinogenics, and released harmful and dangerous hydrogen chloride phosgene into the air. Now, I don't know if that's accurate, but I did see on Newsmax this morning that I think that they lit it on fire to do something. So number two, it says you're looking.
So the train crashes, and they really don't know how that happened. With all of these chemicals, let's go to an article that shows you the particular chemicals that are on this. It's in this article here. As a part of the notice sent to Norfolk Southern, the EPA detailed their actions and observations taken at the derailment site, which can be seen below. Conducted air monitoring around the scene of the incident surrounding the community. These are the observations. Materials released during the incident were observed and detected in samples from the Sulphur Run, Leslie Run, Bull Creek, North Fork, Little Beaver Creek, and the Ohio River. So this is what's in the water. Okay, and your creeks and rivers, that's pretty much how you get your water in the city. Okay. It says materials related to the incident were observed entering storm drains. Multiple rail cars and tankers were observed derailed, breached, and on fire that included but not limited to the following materials: vinyl chloride, ethylene glycol. You can read these. I mean, you see these A through E. You can see those particular points, but this is the reporting. This is the reports. This is what was found in the water and in the air. And what would make this particular company, okay, just light this on fire, man? All right, and release these chemicals into the ecosystem. 5 rail, and why were they riding around with this stuff any damn way? Now, something like this happened before in New Jersey, but it wasn't set on fire. Setting it on fire, all right, is liable to release it, for miles down the road and in the water. Who knows how damn far this can go? It says 5 rail cankers of vinyl chloride were intentionally breached. The vinyl chloride was diverted to an excavated trench and then burned off. Areas of contaminated soil and free liquids were observed and potentially covered and or filled during reconstruction of the rail. The including portions of the trench burn pit was used for the open burn off of vinyl chloride. Norfolk Southern's response to the notice was released Monday. And usually when stuff like this happens, they'll cover it up where the particular company will, just be speaking and saying this and that. All right, the governor or senators will get on the news and, cover up and say this and that and say we're working to do this. And you'll see that just perpetuated in the news for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then it'll disappear. That's how they get down. But really, they're doing evil and wickedness. And this is all a part of them bringing forth their NWO, order out of chaos. Okay? If they're able to pollute, all right, the waters, pretty much the people are going to be by what? They're going to have to go to them. Okay? And just more fuel to add to the fire of things that are happening as this devil is coming down with great wrath. It says Norfolk Southern's response to the notice was released Monday. All right, after about a couple of weeks, it says, with the railroad saying it was willing to perform or finance the response activities related to the incident. You can read their statement below. Yeah, anyway. And we know, nobody's really going to be held accountable. Okay? Yeah, but you didn't hear nothing really about this in the news.
Looking at toxic cocktail of deadly chemicals supposedly purposely being burned off in the East Palestine after the train derailment. So I'm going to be really subjective on this information because I don't really know this source. So I may change up some words, but I'll leave a link to this down in the description below. It says,
well, yeah, it came out that, yeah, they are. Ultimately, they did decide to burn these chemicals. And this is what these Edomites do all around the world. The pour chemicals into the waters. You know, burn down nuclear plants. Remember what they did to Nagasaki and Hiroshima. People are still suffering till this day from what they did over there.
Here, what was burned off was vinyl chloride, which is a toxic carcinogenic and released harmful, dangerous hydrogen chloride phosgene into the air. Number 3, phosgene is a highly toxic, colorless gas with a strong odor that causes vomiting and breathing trouble, and it is used as a chemical weapon in World War I. It also says hydrogen chloride is a colorless to yellowish gas with a strong odor. This causes skin, eye, nose, and throat irritations. And this guy right here, these are videos that probably can't be played on here, so you guys might want to check these out. Talking about OSHA and what OSHA is doing and not doing. Number 4, it says Wisconsin Department of Health, exposure to vinyl chloride can affect a person's liver, kidney, lung, spleen, nervous system, and blood. Additionally, in quotes, human and animal studies show higher rates of liver and lung and severe other types of cancer. This right.
And a lot of people are dying because of that juice too. So all of a sudden, you know, as all of these exposés came out, you know, the unidentified objects and all of these crashes.
Right here is a snapshot of something from Wisconsin Department of Health where he used this. Number 5, the vinyl chloride burn occurred near Ohio River, which flows directly into the Mississippi River. Thousands of farms may be affected by this. And like I showed you guys, a zoom up of this map. Like, this is extremely concerning for a third of our country. And if it's as bad as what I see here, this is a by far bigger deal than what they're making it out to be. Number 6 says the EPA sent a letter to the rail company stating that ethylene glycol monobutyl ethylhexyl acrylate and isobutylene were also in the rail cars. Sorry if I butchered those names. But up here in the canyon, those aren't in the vocabulary. Right here in this news story, in quotes from WKBN.com, 3 additional chemicals discovered on the East Palestine train derailment. In quotes, I'm not sure who made the quote. Maybe it was in this news article. It says in quotes, we basically nuked a town with chemicals so that we could get the railroad open. Well, now if that's true, that's really, really concerning. Number 7, Amanda Beshears found her chicken.
You hear that shit? These people are crazy.
Dead 10 miles from East Palestine. In quotes, as soon as they started to burn, my chickens slowed down and they died. Also in quotes, if it can do this to chickens in one night, imagine what it can do to us in 20 years. Moving down, another article you guys can watch. Number 8, there are reports of dead fish in rivers and creeks 5 miles away from the train derailment. And here's another news article from KDKA 2. You guys can, I've seen a bunch of clips on this specifically. They're down there scooping them out, all kinds of crazy stuff.
So this is likened to what happened in Egypt. Okay? This is the book of Exodus 7 and 19. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, say unto Aaron, take thy rod, which, you know, is ultimately, in this time, thy rod and thy staff, protect this truth, and stretch out thine hand upon the waters of Egypt, and upon their streams, upon their rivers, and upon their ponds, and upon all their pools of water, that they may become blood. Okay? And that there may be blood throughout all the land, both in vessels of wood and vessels of stone. So the Lord, okay, poisoned the Nile River with blood. He turned it into blood. using Moses and Aaron. And Moses and Aaron did so as the Lord commanded, and he lifted up the rod and smote the waters that were in the river in the sight of Pharaoh. And the modern day Pharaoh is Esau, in the sight of his servants. And all the waters that were in the river were turned into blood. And the prophets are here to speak these things into existence. Okay, and the fish that was in the river died, and the river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink of the water of the river. Now, this was the Nile River, all right, which was the most important river. They worshiped this river. So to see this river in disarray, the Egyptians lost it. Okay, and then the magicians of Egypt, all right, came with their enchantment. So we're witnessing sort of like the same thing in a sense. Now, also in prophecy, okay, we have this in Revelation 8. Okay, Revelation, let's see here, 8 and 10. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, okay, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers, okay, and upon the fountains of waters. All right. And the name of the star is called wormwood. All right. Now, when you look at this word wormwood, it's just symbolic of something toxic, because wormwood is an actual, it'll cleanse you of parasites and particular things, but if it can become toxic as well. Okay, if you take too much of it. All right, but within measure, it's good for you. But it just represents bitterness, toxic water, toxic environment. Absinthos, okay. Wormwood, the name of a star which fell into the waters to make them bitter. All right, wormwood as a type of bitterness. Figuratively, calamity. Okay? So ultimately, this is symbolic of the waters being poisoned. And that's been happening for a long time. And it's only going to get worse, especially when nuclear, missiles hit, the earth. But there you go. And many died because of the waters, because they were made bitter. You see? And if you poison these rivers, what they can do is put out an order that you only drink out of bottled water. You only take baths with bottled water. Detroit suffered, all right, such a thing. And still suffering unto this day. This is the worst case scenario. Now, if this just so happens to, be as big as is being put out, okay, which if we're at the end of the world, what did the Lord say about the end? Real quick. It's going to end in great effects and signs. And these are the things that we're seeing on the earth. It's a part of it, man. Let's get the book of 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter. Goodness gracious. Second Esdras, the 9th chapter, and the 3rd verse. Then, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shall thou well understand that the Most High spake of these things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works and ending and effects and signs. See, endings and effects and signs. These are those effects and signs. All right, whether it's being done through the left hand, or these are things that are naturally happen, which we know the left hand is big time involved. And when we say left hand, we're speaking of the powers that be, which work and operate directly through the power of Satan. to get things done on the earth, because evil has to what? Play out his role in part. And this is clearly an evil ruler. He destroys his own damn people just so he can bring forth more unrighteous decrees. And that's how the NWO is going to be set up, out of chaos. What did Klaus Schwab say? We need a meaner world. And you don't think at these meetings that they've been having that these are some of the things that they were going to discuss that need to happen? Sirach 10:1, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. But jump to verse 3. An unwise king destroyed this people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. So this is an unwise king. Now, another thing to look out for before we move forward with that is, all right, these people, who that, all right, who that, all right, through that, all right, convenes urgent meeting over outbreak, all right, of Marburg virus, one of the world's deadliest diseases that kills 90% of patients and has no cure. They convened a panel of experts to discuss how to combat Marburg. The virus appeared in Equatorial Guinea for the first time, killing 9 people. Okay, and it came from Africa. Now, what does this put you in mind of? This movie here, Outbreak. Check this out.
Now, I know that some of us have doubts about what we're about to do. It would be less than human if we didn't. But the fate of the nation, perhaps the world, is in our hands. We cannot, we dare not refuse this burden. I'm confident that each of you will do his duty. God forgive us.
Your town is being quarantined.
We got 19 dead. We got 100 more infected. It's spreading like a brush fire.
What are you talking about?
If one of them's got it, then 10 of them have got it now. And if one of them gets out of Cedar Creek, we have a very interesting problem.
The most optimistic projection for the spread of the virus is this: 24 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours.
The greatest medical crisis of all time
We can't stop it.
begins.
Attention, Portland residents, Seattle citizens of San Diego, residents of Atlanta, Denver residents of Detroit.
That was just an example, but watch the movie if you get time. But as we always tell you, and we've been telling you that, now everybody's saying it and starting to see it. They put particular truths in books, cartoons, movies, commercials, because these are self-fulfilling prophecies, all right, on plans that they would have to bring in their NWO. So be on the lookout for this as well. And when you look up that movie, that outbreak came from a part of Africa. So they have not stopped, and they're not going to stop. Oh boy, and look how they're going to combat it. So it's all kinds of stuff happening, man. It's like non-stop. And I'm going to chill because, what this devil can do with that. All right, but let's go back here.
Another crazy clip that you guys can reference. Moving right along, number 9, dead fish in Leslie Run, coming out of East Palestine in Ohio. Here's another news clip. Actually, it looks like it's a TikTok clip. Coming right down. Oh, and this is where I saw tons. I saw this big, huge net pen that they put up. They had guys down there in biosuits scooping fish out. You can see right here, guys, they're scooping fish out of this river or creek. And these guys are in like biohaz suits. And this just went up into the sky and covered everybody. What is going on? Moving along, number 10, Taylor Holzer, a fox keeper just outside of the evacuation zone, says that one of his fox died and all have been acting sick since the vinyl chloride burn. In quotes, it says the chemicals we're being told are safe are definitely not safe for animals or people. And another reference article from WKBN.com. This is the guy with the foxes. Like, if you guys want to dig into this, like I said, let's get through all these posts. And if you guys want to reference any of these, I'm going to leave a link down in the description for you so you can check this out. Like I said, I think it's a much bigger deal than what they're saying it is. And we definitely need to be aware because I think this is a major warning. Number 11, the top 10 railroad owners of Norfolk Southern Corp include Vanguard, JP Morgan, BlackRock.
Boom. Yes, indeed.
Right here, guys, is a list of the owners. Kind of paints a story. Number 12, the East Palestine, Ohio toxic chemical burn may be the largest environmental disaster in the U.S. history. And this is on a news release right here. Another link that you guys can watch. Number 13, a former resident of East Palestine says, "It is so much worse than the media is telling us." In quotes, again, the water has been contaminated. The soil is contaminated. The effing air is contaminated. And here's another Ticker Talk reference to that. Number 14, 3 new dangerous chemicals were found on the train that derailed in East Palestine, Ohio. And it lists those 3 right there from Citizen Free Press. You guys can watch that on WYTV. In quotes, it says, "We basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open. I was surprised when they quickly told the people they could go back home."
They nuked. All right, this town with these chemicals to open the railroad back up.
And guys, this is not funny, but it's insanely ridiculous how big of a deal this might be. Number 15, Netflix recently released a film called White Noise about a train derailment of toxic chemicals causing a massive explosion and deadly event in East Palestine, Ohio. Are you serious?
Wait a minute. And brothers was talking about this, and I seen brothers send something on this, but let's just wait a minute. White Noise. Let's look up White Noise. See if we can find one. Netflix predicted Ohio chemical spill.
You know, a lot of people have entertained the idea that we live in a simulation. And the reason is some things are just too far-fetched to believe. How about this story? Antonio Sabato Jr. tweeted, "Netflix recently released a film called White Noise in 2022 about a train derailment of toxic chemicals causing a massive explosion and deadly event in East Palestine, Ohio."
And see, this is why, as the Elder Manat Zakba is doing this, he did this lesson here. Check this out.
All right.
They're declaring war on free thinkers. We got to lock up people who are making sense of this all. Because this is just ridiculous. What?
All right. Well, let me correct the record. My understanding is The movie is about a train derailment explosion and toxic chemical spill in Ohio in general. And I don't believe they ever actually say the city. Not that I think it really matters. I mean, it kind of does. If we're to believe that just last year,
Palestine. Who has control over what's called Palestine today? Pretty much the small hats. Okay? But this is Palestine, East Palestine, Ohio. But even if they didn't mention, which I'll have to check the movie out, or if somebody checked it out, you can post a little bit about it. But, I mean, goddamn, bro. The earth has been given into the hand of the wicked.
Netflix released a movie about what literally is happening right now. I mean, that's pretty crazy, but they kind of did. I don't know if you need the very specific East Palestine, Ohio, to make this a reality. The fact is, it is very weird. The movie White Noise stars Adam Driver. Everybody's been talking about it. And the movie isn't completely about this toxic chemical event. It is sort of. And many people point out it's like a blip in the movie that sets the plot or whatever, and then it's a wacky, absurdist comedy with this weirdo family. But people are...
Let's read this comment. It says, Tim, the film White Noise was set in Ohio, but it was actually filmed in East Palestine, at least the evacuation scenes. People that live in East Palestine were extras during the evacuation movie. Now they're living what they acted out in real time. That's the major coincidence, not that the movie is set in Ohio. All these coincidences, you see? All of you people who was running around, you conspiracy theorists and all that, yeah, y'all going to be looking crazy when this devil really shows his horns, man.
How is this even possible? It makes a person question, was this planned? No way did they put out a movie of this happening and it just happened.
We got to get one of my favorite scriptures. This is too much. This is 2 Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness, and them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And that's you Israelites, man. After all that this devil has done, and is still doing, you still trust him. Okay, the wicked is being revealed. He whose coming is after the working of Satan. He came to do what Satan would do. He came to fulfill the lot of Satan.
On Netflix, here's the reference. I'll put it in the description. Right below, another user says, wow, here's a movie just made about the train derailment with toxins in Ohio, filmed in Ohio, where it just happened. Many of the extras were locals from East Palestine, Ohio.
And see, the elite don't give a damn. They know people are going to be putting these things together, but they're bound by one of their oaths that they have to start openly speaking these things and openly doing these kind of things. All right. So that their outcomes can for their NWO could come to fruition. And it's on the dollar. Annuit conceptus novos ordo seclorum, man. The gods have granted us permission to establish an NWO. And it's more on that dollar. Lord willing, we'll get into that in another lesson. Brothers just start looking up some other stuff. It's crazy, man. This is a crazy situation we're in, man.
And it goes on to read. You see what I mean? This is insane. Let's keep going. Number 16, the CDC's medical management guidelines for vinyl chloride. These four clips right here include the health effects, routes of exposure, patient information sheet, and pre-hospital management. Let's go through the first one, health effects. The primary target of vinyl chloride accurate exposure in the CNS. Signs and symptoms include dizziness, ataxia, inebriation, fatigue, numbness, and tingling of the extremities, visual distractions, coma, and death. Vinyl chloride can irritate the eyes, mucous membranes, and respiratory tract. Escaping compressed gas or liquid can cause frostbite or irritation of the skin and eyes. Chronic exposure can cause permanent liver injury and liver cancer, neurotic or behavioral symptoms, and changes to the skin and bones of the hands. And I could read all this and it would probably be super interesting, but I'll put it down there so you guys can reference it. Again, the CDC's medical management guidelines for vinyl chloride. It sounds insane. Number 17, this video shows sparks or flames 20 miles before train derailment in East Palestine. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It might be Palestine. You guys get the point. It says here in quotes from KDKA News 2, we have obtained 2 videos which show preliminary indications of mechanical issues on one of the rail car axles. And there's a news video reference to that one. Number 18, Norfolk Southern Corporation, NSC, with total assets worth $38 billion in 2020, operates the railway that caused the toxic chemical release in East Palestine, Ohio. Last Monday, the company made a $25,000 donation to assist evacuating residents. Well, I'm sure $25,000 is not going to cut it in this situation. Number 19, we're getting close to the end. There's 23. Norfolk Southern Corporation manages 19,420 route miles in 22 eastern states and District of Columbia and has rights in Canada over the Canadian Pacific Railway, Albany to Montreal route as well. And here's a map they give for reference. Around 6% of its deliveries are chemicals. That's kind of crazy. Scrolling down, number 20. A Facebook update yesterday from Darlington, Pennsylvania. Kennel owner says after 20 minutes outside, they had horrible headaches, runny noses, burning and swollen eyes, pulsations within the eye sockets, itchy throat, and coughing. And then they add another reference here talking about the death of 140.
Yeah, because that Ohio River, runs to Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and eventually the Mississippi River. So people are already reporting headaches. Come on, man.
1,000 soldiers in World War I related to the same stuff. Number 21, EPA's liability letter sent to Norfolk Southern Railway Company on February 10th. In quotes, it says, cars containing vinyl chloride and the 3 other ones that I can't pronounce very well are known to have been and continue to be released into the air. And this is directly from the EPA. Here's the letters for reference right here. Number 22, the EPA's release and manifest last night from Norfolk Southern, summarizing more chemicals that were released into East Palestine, Ohio. 3 cars of the first one, 1 car of the second one, 1 car of the third one, and 2 cars of something else that was crazy bad, apparently. And this guy has a video right here explaining everything that was on those cars, if you guys want to reference that. Moving right along, 23, Norfolk Southern Railroad pulled 180,000 gallons of oil and water from the East Palestine train derailment site. The company issued a remediation plan to the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency on Monday detailing its recovery efforts. And here's a reference article from Cincinnati.com. Number 24, I think we're actually going to 27. Hazmat specialist is concerned authorities aren't testing for phosgene, hydrogen chloride, and the dioxins in East Palestine, Ohio. In quotes from this news article, MSNBC.
So this pretty much covers everything that needs to be brought out. You go to this video and he gives you can look up all of these various different things because, again, mainstream media ain't really reporting on it. And we know it's going to be the same propaganda if they do,
This is Dabu 7. I want to share with you guys here some updated bit of information connected to the East Palestine train wreck.
And what I did was I sped up the playback speed. I be forgetting to do it, so this is why he's talking fast. You can do that with videos, as you listening to brothers' videos, you can speed them up, some of them, but make sure you're getting the understanding. But you can speed up, the playback speed on brothers' videos.
This Ohio Chernobyl, as they're dubbing it, as you can see here, the NOAA has put out a high-split model showing where all these particles coming out of East Palestine are floating to, and where a lot of them are settling. This is once they get aloft and they hit that upper column of air, and then it starts to disperse it, going east along with the jet stream. But as you can see here, a lot of this pushing northeast, spreading up and into Canada. Now we're hearing that the town hall has been scrapped because residents are reporting health problems. Residents also reporting what looks to be acid rain on the windows of cars and vehicles. It's drying up very weird, and you can tell it looks different than normal rain when it dries. Animals dropping dead left and right. There's video of chickens dead, of foxes falling ill, frogs and fish dead left and right all over the place. They're now saying that this plume of toxic chemicals is moving down the Ohio River that they're trying to monitor. But in all reality, when you get inside that Ohio River, whatever got in there day one, say it was a week ago, that's probably already halfway down the Mississippi River. Straight up. Let's be honest about it. That water flows pretty quick. It's been going on 2 weeks now, and all of this is going to end up in the Gulf, as everything does. So it just so happens that this accident is right there at the mouth of the Ohio, at the top, where it starts to feed in down into the country, and all these other waterways feed into it. So residents are now being told, do not drink the water. I put this alert out right at the gate. Do not drink any of the water within a 100-mile, I would say 200-mile radius at this point. They're urging people to drink bottled water. So this is some of the latest information connected to this. Wanted to make sure that people were aware. I will continue to update via Instagram and Twitter. Make sure to follow me there.
Yeah, so, you know, animals, foxes, you know, fish dying off, you know. And this is what the devil is doing. This is what's happening. You know, I just wanted to touch on this. Let's get the book of Revelation, let's see here. The 11th chapter. Revelation, the 11th chapter. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. And Esau, Edom, is responsible for destroying the earth. Okay, that's what he's done. That's what he's continued to do. That's what he will continue to do. Okay, in order to what? Bring forth his unrighteous decrees, man. Okay, as the scriptures say, by craft. Daniel 8:25, which this is speaking of Antiochus Epiphanes. Brothers, we have to make sure we bring that out. Whenever we use this scripture, we have to make sure that we let the audience know that this is actually speaking of Antiochus Epiphanes of the Greeks, but we have to understand that that spirit is back here today. Okay? Antiochus is back here today. Daniel 8:25, and through his policy he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, his mind, and by peace shall destroy many. And he shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So through his policy, he shall cause craft. So through these events, what's going to end up happening is, you know, laws and legislations are going to be able to be passed. Okay? And from there, you know, they're able to move closer to what they want with world domination, but it's going to come through craft. See? And everybody's on to them. All right? Again, in the fullness of his sufficiency. Job 20:22, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits, and every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. All right, and that means the laborer, the wretched one, the worker. Okay, but this devil is up to something, man. You know, there's another scripture speaking of, you know, wormwood, and you know, as we get closer and closer, you know, to the end, the earth is going to be in a very, very toxic state. That's why the scriptures say, let's see here, I forget where it's at. No. Hold up. They drink any deadly thing. Mark 16:18. Mark 16:18. And they shall take up serpents, and if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover. These are all of the things that are coming down the pipe, because we're going to be in a very, very toxic environment, man. And there's a chemical war being laid out. They're trying to get rid of as many people and sicken and weaken as many people as possible. Because remember, according to their guide stones, their Georgia guide stones, which were struck, okay, humanity has to be taken down to a particular number. So We're going to be here on earth. And the scriptures say if we drink any deadly thing, it ain't going to hurt us. And this is when linking up and being with the true men of the Lord is going to be like a, as the scriptures say, what's that, Isaiah 32? It's going to be crucial. Isaiah 32:2, a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. So it's going to be important. The men of the Lord are going to be on a whole nother level, man. And they're going to have the ability to heal. So being, in that time, Lord, all of the elect, some of us are going to, have to die. We're all going to go through our trials. But overall, the Lord is going to sustain us. And this is why the Lord is taking this devil down, man. This is why the days are being shortened. Because he's not going to stop. As you can see, you would think, okay, well, after this, is he going to stop? Well, the mask, this, that. Nah, he ain't planning on stopping. Mark 13:19, for in those days shall be affliction such as was not from the beginning of the creation which God created unto this time, neither shall be. Daniel, the 12th chapter, talks about it. And except the Lord have shortened those days, no flesh should be saved. But for the elect's sake, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days. Okay, and if a man say, lo to you, lo, here is Hamashiach, lo, he is there, believe him not. So you're going to have all manner of false flags. You're going to have all kind of deceptions, you see, that are going to take place in the planet Earth. See? Just look at a little bit of this one, and then we can go ahead and close up.
So this is Chernobyl happening in the United States right now. Those are the words being shared all across social media and around the world about a train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, not far from where I used to live in Ohio. These are the words being said in China on social media in China and on Chinese television. But over the past 48 hours, if you turned on television in China or read social media in China, you would have seen amazing images of the Ohio train derailment that involved 50 trains. 10 of these train cars were carrying highly toxic chemicals, known as vinyl chloride, among other chemicals we'll get to. These cars were burning for days, shooting highly toxic chemicals into the air, creating a dark plume of smoke that could be seen from outer space, by the way. Yeah, it was seen from outer space. And so this coverage could be readily accessed in China. And they're rightly saying or calling this America's Chernobyl event, where a town could permanently be devastated, people never coming back home again. This part of Ohio could be ruined for years. Waterways ruined. We won't know the full extent of it yet. And we might not for years, by the way. And in fact, the word Chernobyl trending on Twitter this afternoon. Here it is. Hundreds of thousands of tweets all about Chernobyl. But turn on your television in the United States, and the coverage was and has been total silence on this story. The Ohio train derailment on the major media networks. Total blackout. Instead, focus on fake UFO invasion, all in an effort to draw us into a war with Russia and China. Now, just watch last night's. I'm going to show you the full introduction of the NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt. This is the Monday edition. Okay, this is 9 days after this has happened. Everyone's talking about it on social media. We all know it's happened, but the mainstream media is ignoring the story. This is the top of their show where they lay out the whole 30-minute broadcast and see if you notice what's missing. Watch.
Tonight, the growing mystery and the race to recover those unidentified objects shot down by U.S. fighter jets. Defense Secretary Austin saying today they were a threat to civilian aircraft. 3 objects shot down over North American airspace in the last 3 days. But the questions, what are they and who may have sent them? And the unreal moment at today's briefing as the White House seeks to put to rest questions about extraterrestrial activity. Also tonight, the violent U-Haul rampage in New York City, striking pedestrians. 8 injured, some critically. What we're learning about the driver now in custody. The double storm threat, packing snow and powerful winds, we're tracking it. The new miracle rescues, even as the death toll soars to 35,000 in the earthquake that hit Turkey and Syria. The 13-year-old boy pulled from the rubble today, more than 180 hours after disaster struck. The warning from NATO, a new Russian offensive long in planning, is now underway in Ukraine. Richard Engel in a city under siege. A terrifying plane plunge. Why did a United Airlines flight nearly nosedive into the Pacific Ocean? And a celebration in Kansas City after the Chiefs' thrilling Super Bowl win.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
All right.
So anything missing? At least we got the storms that are happening, and the Chiefs. We got the Kansas City Chiefs story.
You know what's crazy about that? Last night I started watching Newsroom again, and there's the part where they're talking about like this major story. It's like, it's only yellow, and he's like, they don't want to report the story of the, I can't remember exactly what the story is, but it's like, they probably know this story, They know what's going on, but they chose to. They chose to ignore it.
Yes. Yeah. It's not like they're idiots. You got a room full of 100 people to work on that show. It's their highest rated news broadcast. They know what's going on. They have affiliates in Ohio, in Cleveland, nearby, in Pittsburgh, where this is nearby. They know what's going on. They're choosing to ignore it. Why ignore the story? We'll come back to that in a moment. So what the hell is going on in Ohio?
Well, maybe because it started to sort of stink of conspiracy on the internet. And then I feel like news producers now, if they see anything that stinks of conspiracy, they just throw it away. They won't instead unpack it and say, well, is there something there? I mean, I've been guilty of that in the past too. Things I didn't want to look at because they felt like...
Everyone watching right now has done that. We're like, oh, I don't want to look into that. You know what? I've got enough going on.
But that's not an excuse for national news producers. When you see the images of this is not a story that you can explain why you ignored it. So let's just go through the timeline of what happened and what justification there is for why it happened. The derailment happened on February 3rd in East Palestine, Ohio. There was actually 20 cars full of chemicals. Here is the crash site. So this is just the crash before the burn. Video from a warehouse along the track shows that it was on fire for at least 20 miles. So this is a warehouse, and their security footage caught this image of a train going by, and you'll see...
This video obtained by our news partners at...
Sorry, go ahead and play the audio.
...by a security camera and equipment manufacturing plant...
What was that?
...in Salem, Ohio, some 20 miles from East Palestine. You can see what appear to be sparks or flames under one of the cars as it passes the plant.
So that looks bad. That means that it was flaming for at least 20 miles because this footage is 20 miles from the crash site. So as it was going along, you'd hope somebody sort of caught that, but nobody did. The derailment, though, is not what caused the explosion. The rail company called Norfolk Southern is what caused the explosion. They told residents the weekend after the crash that they would be blowing up the site in what they called a controlled breach. Here's their website with updates just a few days after the crash. The one on the bottom was the first update, and then the update you see on the top. They said, we put together a plan to manually vent the cars. What they mean by vent the cars is blow them up, like get air inside of them. It said this will be done in a controlled fashion. To protect the environment, we have prepared pits and embankments to drain the material into which will then be remediated. When it is safe to do so, the manual release of pressure will be via a controlled breach of several rail cars and under the supervision of experts and first responders. This will be loud and visible, they said. They should have maybe put an exclamation point. I'm sorry it's so light that the text is not darker. Some of the material, they say, will burn off as it drains for a short number of hours, and we have been and will continue monitoring air quality with the Ohio EPA. Afterwards, cleanup work on the site can safely continue. And then there's this update where they say, okay, we did it. Rail cars have been successfully under the supervision of experts and first responders. Some of the material is now burning off consistent with expectation from earlier models, and it's expected to drain for a short while. So, which is interesting. So what they're saying here about the scientific models is they drew up some estimates of what it would look like to burn these, to blow them up, and they figured, okay, it's going to be this bad, let's do it. And the way that they word it here makes me think, the way they say some of the material is now burning consistent with the models, meaning, whoa, it was a heck of a bigger explosion than we had anticipated, but now it's the size the models predicted.
Just look at that photo. I mean, that's unbelievable. Can you imagine, your kids in school, down the road from that? No. Nothing to see here, no problem here at all. And I love that in their press release, there's basically saying, oh, you'll be able to see it. You'll probably be able to see it. But what they should put in there is you'll be able to see it from the moon.
Yeah, loud and visible is what they say.
When I photo on Twitter, I actually thought, because I was like, okay, there's this thing going.
Yeah, so, there's no need to keep watching that. We already watched that one video where you can pretty much go into, but the devil's at work. These are things to watch out for. Things are going to get significantly worse in the earth. See here. It's not too much here. Dude should go over these in another lesson. Another unidentified object shot down. So look, we are in some crazy times. May Yahweh Bashim Yahshai be with the elect. Okay. But this is Revelation 16 and 13. And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as blood of a dead man. Okay, those chemicals and all of that. And every living soul died in the sea. And the third angel poured his vial upon the rivers and fountains of waters, and they became blood. So we know it's all going to get worse, but these things are starting to happen and will only continue. So we had that, got this nitric acid, in Arizona. Lord willing, we'll be back with more. Hopefully I will edify on to the next. Shalom.